The psychologist Kurt Thompson, he points out that our modern world equates waiting with suffering because we expect these days to be distracted and entertained at all times. Hence, television screens on gas pumps and the glow of a phone screen staring up at everyone who's waiting in line for the restroom anywhere in the world today, and the staggering crisis level decline in reading in the modern world today. Sometimes I wonder if Steinbeck's East of Eden that we were talking about at the beginning would even get published today. It's too long, too slow, it takes too much commitment. Who's going to read it? Who's going to wait on the story? Maybe if we get Snoop Dogg to read the audiobook, right? Over the last century and over the last 25 years in particular, we've constructed a world that trains us to believe that we should never have to delay gratification. And psychologically speaking, the human brain processes events based on expectations. Our expectations are the filter through which we interpret reality and the meaning of the events that come into our lives. And when any form of delayed gratification is interpreted as unjust suffering entering my life, then we expect to be able to change our environment in some controllable way that relieves any suffering that comes into our lives. We expect to be able to subvert every experience of waiting, and we interpret the experience of waiting as suffering. In the biblical story, though, waiting isn't suffering. It's maturity. Or at least it can be, depending on how we wait. If we wait on the Lord, or if we subvert the strengthening, maturing process of waiting for what we truly and deeply desire by grasping for some counterfeit version of it. Waiting is having a good, true desire that we don't reach to gratify, but instead hold before God, patiently waiting for Him to not merely gratify, but to satisfy that desire. And waiting is how your soul grows up. It's how God allows the circumstances of our lives to refine our desires and form our character. At the start of my own chemotherapy treatment, I was counting down the rounds, managing the side effects, clinging to the life that I knew before my diagnosis in every way that I could, and anticipating the return of that life as quickly as I could get it back. As my treatment progressed, though, I thought less and less about the end, even about the outcome. And I started to think a whole lot more about who I wanted to be when I came out of this wilderness. What treasures I wanted to have collected as I walked through it. At some point in my journey, I stopped daydreaming about subverting the wait, and I submitted to the formative process of waiting. I stopped praying for the removal of my pain, and instead I started to pray for the redemption of my pain.